There's an article from John Hopkins saying that the mandates didn't do anything, didn't protect anybody. The mandates didn't protect anybody. The vaccines don't stop the spread. The government is underreporting on the adverse effects of the vaccinations, no question about it. More or less everybody's already come to the conclusion that the mandates and the restrictions have to end because we've made it through this thing. And the truckers are saying, okay, so let's get rid of them, and Trudeau's digging in his heels. And he's calling people, he said, this is the quote, he's always got a quote. It's just something astounding every day. He said, Canada isn't defined by a small number of swastika wavers or something. People waving swastika. Canada is not defined by people waving swastikas. Boy, that's the truth, isn't it? There was a guy with a Confederate flag. We kicked him out. There was a guy with swastika. We kicked him out. But we weren't associating. Not even that guy was associating with the swastika. This is so berserk. You have to maintain some sense of humor in this to avoid going absolutely insane, because you're getting gaslit constantly. The things that he says have no connection with reality whatsoever. He actually said that this convoy and the protesters, by far the largest convoy ever. That's just the one that descended on Ottawa, but there were ones in every major city in Canada. And people are copying us in other parts of the world. And he's referring to it as a fringe of people waving swastikas. So he's refused to talk to people, which is as much as you can do. People have got a legitimate grievance, and you refuse to talk to them. And then when you do say something about them in our House of Commons, you imply that they're Nazis, when you're the one that behaves mostly like a Nazi. It's not us, right? Indoctrinating children, all of this stuff. Rewriting history, corrupting the press, limiting freedom of expression. Everything that you do is fascistic. So just absolutely everything is upside down. And the truckers are saying now that the important statement that they have today is that if their live feeds go dead, if you stop getting reports from Capitol Hill, that means the police, who want no part of this thing, have started really interfering, and they've started arresting people by the truckload. If their live feeds go dead, that means that the police have shut off their cell phones somehow. So you can't get information about what's happening. You can't get. Wow. This is like the next few days are absolutely historic, kind of like it's come to crunch time. Are we finally going to stand up against total insanity, or are we not? And we will. The cops don't want to do this, and the people in the convoy are absolutely committed to nonviolence. So if anything happens that's excessively violent, it'll be an embarrassment to the cops, who didn't want to do this anyway, and to the government. And it'll be like India. They'll embarrass the government and get them out. That's how Gandhi got the British out of India, and that's how we're going to get Trudeau out of there. And his whole thing, his whole ministry is that just going to we're going to call an election and we're going to boot him out. If he wins another election in Canada, wow. Okay, so what is there? Okay, the live stream might go. If it goes dead, that means the cops have started arresting people. What we're planning is peaceful resistance. Trudeau is insulting us, like all this saying you can't go around offending people, and then he calls people Nazis. He implies that we're all Nazis. So he's provoking the violence. There's going to be an uptick. They've already said that if you are supporting the truckers in any material way with food or water, right, or money, then you could be arrested. And there are live streams from there, and the guys are just sneaking stuff in backpacks and stuff, giving it out, and there's essentially the cops don't want to do anything about it, and they probably can't. The GoFundMe guys, they've guilty of two thefts, because in the beginning they wanted to take the money that people had donated to the truckers, give it to somebody else. So that would have been one theft. But then they also weren't going to give it to the people that it was intended for. So that's another theft. Right? Let's call it 1.5 thefts. That's going to devastate GoFundMe. You got people like Ron DeSantis and Jim Jordan in the United States intending to sue. GoFundMe has got to be done. And what the truckers did was just set up another one. They've already raised like $3.4 million or something like that. They're portraying these guys as, at one point they said that some guy that they were taking food from the homeless. Okay. What they're doing is they're setting up soup kitchens, and this is hard to believe, but I guess this is true, is that there was a lot of sort of homelessness and drug addiction, that kind of problems around Parliament Hill in Ottawa. And that since these guys have moved in, like one of my guys said, well, the homeless have never been better fed. That's for sure. My guy's like, they're trying to give away food to like anybody. The sign just says free food, right? And so the cops are trying to shut that down. And the crime rate has dropped to almost nothing. Like, there's some things that just absolutely surprise me. That the whole thing hasn't turned just into like a big drunk party, right? And from there into whatever. Hockey fans or something in Vancouver, was it basketball or football? I don't know. They tore the city apart in a celebration over the fact that they had won something. And there was there were riots. Vancouver just went to pieces because the young people just got drunk. There's no drunken, disorderly stuff around there. That is astounding. It absolutely is astounding. It feels like I've forgotten something, but I don't seem to be able to remember what it was. If the live feeds go dead, that means the cops are really moving in. Apparently, there was no increase in funding to the provinces from the federal government through this entire pandemic. Trudeau's doubled down, implied that we're Nazis. GoFundMe tried to steal our money. They're going to get sued. This is absolutely glorious. This you couldn't have brought this to a better conclusion, and it's not concluded, obviously. But the goal is to embarrass the government out. And one thing that grates me is that I would imagine that Justin Trudeau's life actually is in danger, right? There's got to be people around that are going. Some people are they're nuts anyway, and they're watching this, and they're going, I mean, how many people did he kill? Deciding to trust China for a vaccine, how many people did that kill? How many people are dying from depression and loneliness and boredom and divorce and loss of income and all of that because of excessive restrictions? He's murdering people. He might as well be murdering people. So if some nutcase got the idea, it wouldn't surprise me. Our thing is that democracy is about listening to people and discussing things in a frank way so you don't have to resort to violence. And what he's done is he said, no, I'm not going to listen to you. No, I'm not going to talk to you. And we've said, no, we're not going to resort to violence still. Right? This is sanity conquering insanity. This is mental health conquering a kind of evil, I think I would have to say, right? What else? Have we forgotten anything? I don't think so. This is a defining moment for Canada. It's the trucker convoy said, okay, look, I know that the world is listening to this. We know the world is listening. This is a convoy statement. It was called SOS. This is really an emergency because it could start happening tomorrow. They're already giving people some sort of little fine if you bring in food or water or whatever. Some of these people are getting harassed already. And if the whole feed goes dead, that means something's really happening. So we just have to get as many cameras in there as possible, maybe that aren't connected to a cell phone. They'll probably be seizing cell phones and cameras. The CCTV cameras will be shut off. And you're going to be faced with a situation where cops are doing something that they don't want to do. And the protesters, if you want to call them that, are going to be there and saying, go ahead and embarrass yourself. We plan on following your instructions. Go right ahead. You're going to process it somewhere. But they're